Hey guys, it's What's That All About episode, and there will be a Skimmer Outdoors episode coming up in a day or two. Maybe just a day. I'm trying to get Dave to get back out. He's been stacking wood. So I don't know why you would think that that's more fun than riding his bike, but he's very responsible like that. So Skimmer Outdoors is coming back. In the meantime, kind of got on a little bit of a kick here with Tom DeLonge. Are you familiar with Tom DeLonge? Maybe you know better. He also was in the band Blink 182. They've been around for quite a while. They're actually on tour right now, selling out and crushing every date they have. I think that's awesome, personally. And you may also know one of the members. I think it's the drummer, Travis Barker. He's married to one of those Kardashian people. I can proudly say I have actually never sat through an entire episode of a Kardashian. I think one's been on the background of somewhere. I don't think I've ever seen one. I don't think I could tell them apart. Quite honestly. Maybe the mom. I've seen her a bit. Anyway, Tom DeLonge. Well, he is quite the entrepreneur, and he's also a very important part of UAP disclosure. He is a huge proponent of it, so much so that he created a company, or he's a co-founder of a company called To the Stars. I think there was an academy associated with it called To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences, I think. But I know it's like abbreviated now with To the Stars. Not sure if you've heard of that, but I am going to tell you a little bit about him, also through the eyes of one of his partners one of his co-founders of To the Stars. He's actually, he amazes me. He actually has connections that you would never think a rock star would have. And there's really no reason for him to have the connections he has. Now, he is unbelievably protective of his sources. So as I go through this and I tell you a little bit about him, you're probably going to be a little frustrated like I was when I couldn't disclose any names because no names are disclosed. So there's that. So anyway, all right, in this piece, I see there's a lot of moving parts to the Stars because they are using like films, they use books, very important books actually, and they use the media and press and stuff. They use a lot of outlets to get messages out there, and they do it in a way that people can understand it. People like you and me, as I call it, Joe Public, they don't talk at you. They talk to you in terms that you can understand. And personally, I really like that. So as I go through this, it's going to be kind of a discovery for me as well, because I did research and I came across this article in particular that I really liked, because it's kind of hearing from somebody else sort of boasting and bragging about Tom and how important and relevant he is to disclosure. So there was a situation back in 2016, and there really is a little mystery around how this happened, but do you recall the presidential campaign between Trump and Hillary Clinton? Well, remember when Russia got all her had WikiLeaks release all her emails? Well, within those emails were communications between John Podesta, who at the time was her campaign chair. They were between John Podesta and Tom DeLonge. Okay. And other names are disclosed in there, but Tom is, like I said, he has been able to keep a veil over those names. Now, they were talking about disclosure. They were talking about UAPs. So, John, he to this day even, he is still a big proponent of disclosure. Okay. Tom calls it the situation, okay? And he did an article. He gave an interview to the New York Times in 2019. And in that article, he kind of tells the story about how this all sort of started to reveal itself. Okay. Now, New York Times, 2019. Okay. In this piece, Tom states that he was very clearly aware of the gravity of his extended moment in a very different kind of spotlight than the one in which he had grown accustomed since Blink 182's success had exploded. This was all very different. He was getting a lot of attention from the intelligence community all of a sudden, like CIA type stuff, and other high up senior members of government were quite aware of Tom after the emails came out between he and John Podesta. Now, in this article also, okay, so it says that the situation that just happened, this is Tom talking, that just happened is literally something I and many other people have been waiting for, not years, but decades. And he was speaking alongside, I should mention, Lou Elizondo, who I have mentioned before. The name might be familiar to you. He used to be in charge of ATIP. I don't know if you remember that, but and he's a former To the Stars or TTS collaborator. He's since moved on to other things, but still, good with Tom. And his former government affiliation in the UAP arena was also Lou Elizondo was vouched for by the late and great Harry Reid, who was a huge advocate of UAP disclosure as well, government disclosure, I should call it, but. So Elizondo was also Tom DeLonge and Lou, and then also Chris Mellon came along, and they did a 2 seasons of a show on the History Channel called Unidentified. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you going on YouTube and checking it out. Just put in Unidentified, and you'll have them all right there. There's a lot to learn from those. Now, the direct results of the situation that I've been telling you about and that Tom's been referring to is the To the Stars release of footage showing evidence of UAPs in these 3 videos, and I'm sure you're going to remember them. I have the links to the videos below in the description so you can check it out. Okay, there was the gimbal, FLIR 1, and Go Fast. Now, it's also notable that due to Tom's tireless efforts within the UAP research realm in 2017, which was just a huge year for him. He was crushing it because that was the year the 3 videos came out from him in his To the Stars business. He was presented with the UFO Researcher of the Year from the Open Minds group, which is huge. I think that's great. Now, while the footage of the videos of the 3 UAPs don't show any proof of like ETs, right? No extraterrestrials are seen, but it does show that something's out there. And then later in 2019, the US Navy finally confirmed the validity of all 3 videos and did re-release them. Why? I don't know. But they did say that the phenomena that was witnessed being operated is still, unexplicable, unexplained, unidentified. They still to this day, as far as I know, have not been able to tell us or tell themselves. Maybe they can't even explain what these things were. Anyway, there has been some suspicion that they are man-made, but no evidence of that. So I'm still going with UAP. I'm still going with that. Now, this article that I came across, written by Trace William Cohen, and he writes for the Alternative Press. Okay, it's on YouTube. On the internet, and it included an interview with the co-founder of TTS, To the Stars, and current Vice President of Operations, Jim Semovin. And he calls Tom a natural-born leader, okay? And he also was a former senior operations officer for the CIA. Now, he became aware of Tom and his work on the UAP phenomenon in June of 2016, okay? There were a few scientists and researchers that approached Jim and said, are you aware of Tom DeLonge? Have you ever heard of him? He had no idea who Blink-182 was. There's a little generational gap there, I think. So anyway, other members of the intelligence community even approached him and said, you should read a book that he wrote. It's called Secret Machines, Book 1, Chasing Shadows. And he also was instructed to listen to the coast-to-coast interview he did with George Knapp in March of 2016. We all know George Knapp, one of the weaponized guys. But in that interview, Tom says he had written the book based on conversations and input from unnamed military and intelligence community advisors. That's what he calls them, his advisors. And like I said, who shall remain anonymous to this day. Good for Tom for having integrity to keep them secret, because they very much, it's kind of conditional that they remain anonymous. So based on what Tom said and his insistence that he had a set of former and current senior U.S. government advisors, Jim thought it would be a really good idea to meet him. They met. So late in August of 2016, they sat down, and he found Tom to not only be unbelievably well informed when it came to UAPs, but his perspectives were thoughtful, and they were responsible, and they were well thought out and sophisticated. I mean, Tom's not an idiot. I don't know if you've ever seen anything with him when he speaks. He's a smart guy. Yeah, he's a rocker, but he is a smart guy. I mean, man, I'm very impressed by him. Now, this was also when Tom asked Jim if he would like to start a company, To the Stars, and Jim agreed on the spot that afternoon. They drew out on a cocktail napkin the structure of how To the Stars would be created, and To the Stars was born. I love that. Now, interestingly, Jim still talks about how he has asked Tom repeatedly about his sources, and they still remain anonymous. But he deals with it. Doesn't bother him. But To the Stars has accomplished, I think, in such a short period of time, considering they were created in 2017 and it's 2023. I mean, that's a relatively short span of time. Within that, obviously, there's the 3 videos that were released, but above and beyond that, they're also catching the attention of worldwide press. And it's because Tom's got a celebrity. He's a very popular rock star. His band is extremely successful, and they're fantastic. He also has Angels and Airwaves that he went off and did when Blink-182 broke up for a bit, and he did Angels and Airwaves, and it's brilliant music. It's brilliant. It's like revolutionary. You should check it out. Anyway, and also at the same time, there was a front page article on ATIP, the ATIP program, that literally was like a game changer, they call it, for the whole UFO UAP phenomenon community. So Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, who I mentioned, worked really hard to push the To the Stars agenda. And they did a great job. They really did. They were big advocates to get the name out there, to get their message, their mission. And even though they've moved on to other things, they're still relatively close with Tom. And of course, they're still working on their own, ways of getting disclosure moved along. But they also, very importantly, they pushed the To the Stars agenda that now there is a complete detailed section on UAPs in the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA. And Jim adds, in reference to Tom, and I quote, Tom has always been adamant, and I agree with him completely, that one of our primary missions should be advancing education about the phenomenon. As a public benefit corporation, TTS, through entertainment and scientific research projects, will expand the public's mind and knowledge base. Now, that is their goal in a nutshell, but he goes on to say that at To the Stars, we believe that our universe is a very, very strange and remarkable place. TTS wants to try to explain this weirdness and the strangeness in a manner that allows people to expand their understanding about our environment and our somewhat restricted view of reality. Our consensus reality, how we all view our own world, is restricted by our senses. Okay, and our brains, a necessary survival mechanism to a large extent, protects us from only seeing so much. In the end, however, we remain blinkered because our senses and our brains simply cannot allow every bit of the greater reality in, or we would become immediately and instantly overwhelmed. And we'd miss so much. Because when you're overwhelmed, you actually, all your senses start to shut down. If you think about it, think about the last time you were overwhelmed by something. Can you even remember the moment other than just feeling overwhelmed? I can remember my last moment pretty recently. I don't remember anything about it other than feeling sick and just concentrating on being overwhelmed. It was awful. So everything else was blocked out. Now, in closing, Jim is asked about the implications if and when a president or a government admits to these UAP facts, which we all know are facts, by the way. And he claims the questions would be endless. Who are they? Why are they here? Where are they from? What do they want? Are they more powerful than us? I think we can answer that one. Should we fear them? Does the government have answers to these questions? Jim believes they do not, and that is why we are where we are still with disclosure, because he thinks that the government does not have satisfactory answers that we as the public would sort of demand at this point. Like, you kind of feel like saying, you've had like 80 plus years with this stuff and you can't answer these questions yet, because we'd be a little angry. But we'd get past that. Just tell us what you know. We don't want to use it against you. We just want to know. We just want to know. We have the passion. I keep going back to that, but he also thinks we should hang on to our hats, Jim does, and that these whistleblowers that are just the beginning. They are just the beginning. He thinks a floodgate's going to open up. And he wants to do what he can with To the Stars wants to do is explain what we do and don't know in a way everyone can understand, like I said before. And I'd be really interested to know your thoughts on this. I would love you to leave comments and tell me if you think the government's ever going to really figure this stuff out. And do you think this To the Stars Academy, like not Academy, but To the Stars, like what Tom DeLonge has done and created with certain people, like, do you think that this is going to be helpful? I personally want to join the company. I would love to work with them because they're pushing so many avenues that are so practical in order to learn more about this stuff. And man, let me tell you, doing it with entertainment is perfect. It's like soft disclosure, like I've told you about, through video games, books, TV, movie, the whole genre. It's a really clever way to get people to remember and to be a part of the process. So I'd love to hear from you, like I said. And until next time, I hope you are staying happy and healthy and stay weird. Stay weird. We live in a weird world. We might as well just, don't fight it. And take care. Bye.